What if I told you that I discovered a painting approach that allows you to achieve smooth blends fast by combining two different techniques? So in today's video, I'm going to show you what this approach is, breaking it down step by step in order for you to achieve stunning looking blends. Let's start with step 1 by applying an overall base coat, which is also going to be my undertone for the whole model. The key thing here about this technique is paint consistency. So please download the free consistency cheat sheet guide that I put in the description down below and refer back to it watching this video. You're welcome, chat. This technique is perfect to paint pretty much anything. Allows you to get a stunning result with high visual impact without spending a crazy amount of time glazing on the same spot while still being kind of smooth. Moving on to step 2, where here it's all about what I talked about in the beginning. On the consistency cheat sheet, you'll find exactly the consistency I will be using for this video, which I call fat glaze consistency. This dilution sits between 50 to 70% opacity, and here's how you get it, with a little trick. Well, first I want to add a fresh drop of color on my wet palette. Then what I usually do to thin down my paints with more control is that I put a little drop of water on the palette itself, and then I start gradually adding water to the paint. The trick is, with most paints, as soon as the sheet paper of the wet palette shows through, you are almost certainly nailing the right consistency. We want the paint to still cover but not be as powerful as a base coat consistency. Always test on your thumbnail, on your hand, on your glove, whatever, to check if you have the right opacity and that the amount of paint you have on your brush is enough to cover, but still totally under your control. Okay, great. Then let's move on to the next step. Now that I showed you exactly how to achieve the consistency we need, we are ready to apply the paint, right? Not yet. If you wanna achieve realism in your miniature, you gotta do step 3, which is to figure out the right spots where to place the highlights. Getting highlight points right at the first try can be a challenging thing, as I always explain it to my students, especially if you never did it before. But don't worry, just follow along where I'm placing them, considering that you will be able to change the placing without much issues in the next step. Then we can move on to step 4, which is paint application. I will break down exactly how to use this consistency and how to move your brush so that you can achieve the same result I showed you in the beginning. I'm gonna start with Oxford Blue by AK Interactive, thinned and picked up like shown in the previous steps, and I apply this color starting from the main highlight area, in this case on the chest. Here I don't just use the point of my brush, but the whole thing, the whole length of a smaller size brush, taking advantage of the whole brush to spread and extend the paint. This extended area is going to be slightly thinner and blend automatically in the base coat, even with this huge jump in value. Because of the method we are using, highlighting from a very dark base, I want to direct my brush stroke upwards towards the main point of light. Consistency is key here, but not only that, because the real truth is that consistency is deeply connected with your brush, with how you move the brush, how you move the pigments, how you make the bristle of your brush interact with the surface you are painting. And no one ever talks about that. Luckily for you, I have a 90 minutes deep dive that will break down paint consistency and brush control that you can check out in the link in the description. You can learn cool new stuff, support your favorite cringe creator, helping me avoid ending up sleeping on the streets. I do the exact same thing all over the armor of this model, following the shapes, applying and extending, leaving visible only a small part of the base coat. Sometimes I also apply the paint, wash the brush and dry it slightly so I can drag the still wet paint, feathering it in the shadows in a pretty seamless transition. 1 or 2 layers of this are gonna be enough. But the best part of this painting approach has yet to come, and its time is now, in step 5. I'm gonna mix Oxford Blue with Blue Gray from AK Interactive. Don't worry, I'll put the Citadel equivalents in the description. And I start doing the same thing but on a slightly smaller areas, going all over the model in the same way, applying the paint and extending it, feathering it with a moist brush when I need to. I think the best part about this technique is that it can be incredibly simple, fast and low pressure, as long as you master the two fundamentals of painting, which are consistency and brush control. It's fast because layers are thin while still kind of opaque, so they dry fast and they leave a good mark. It's low pressure because the marks you're making are so thin that you can correct them anytime. Like, for example, if you don't like the placement of an highlight. And it's simple with the fundamentals. Or if not simple, it's a good challenge in my humble opinion. It's really up to you how much you pushed on this. You could stop at the first application on Oxford Blue or the Fang and it will look awesome. But in this case, I kept grinding, refining the paint job with some hedge highlights and then pushing the contrast as much as I wanted to. And I really had a nice time with it. But what were the two techniques I combined? Well, I bet you're so smart you figured it out by now. All I did was combining glazing, a different type of glazing most people are not used to using, with another effective but very simple technique, layering. This way, I can gradually build up the layers with thin paint, guaranteeing smoothness with way less cleanup. The results are pretty smooth, and if you want even more smoothness, it's gonna be so much easier to go on with it with the cleanup glaze because you already will have a strong start. I'd really love you to give this a try and maybe email me or DM me your whips because I'd really love to see them. But what if you have to paint like bigger models? Would this technique work? Because, you know, with bigger panels, it sounds like a chore. Then what? You learn this technique in this video here that's gonna show you how to do that on bigger models, and I'll see you there. Or you pass me there because I recorded, I think it was like a year ago, and it was a good